Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Nick Impromptu Reviews. And today I am reviewing Kingsburg by Fantasy Flight. Kingsburg, it's a Euro-style game. I guess I would categorize it as dice placement game. You pretty much roll dice, and you got to place it in a certain part of the board to claim it and get goods and stuff. It's very, I guess you would call it easy to moderate type Euro game. Not that complex, very good production value, and that's pretty much what it is, and I'll show this to you in a bit. Is it good? Let's find out.
Okay, so let me show you the setup of this game. Now, even though this game really isn't that complex, there is a lot going on with the setup. The board is very busy, but it's once you get the hold of it, there's really not much to do. Now, first of all, the main board, first of all, it's really, really beautiful, and there's a lot of detail to it. And what it is, it's the king's court, okay? And what you have are the advisors, including the king and the queen. So on the top you have the king and the queen, and then you have the rest down there. You have all of their advisors. And the whole game is about influencing these advisors with your dice, okay? Now, here we have, let's try to go part by part. Here are the sources that you're going to get. We have wood, gold, and stone, okay? Those are the three sources, and each advisor, they produce certain things. So when you roll the dice, you'll be able to produce those items. At the end of the board, edges of the board, you have the scoring track to keep track of your scores. Okay, and on the bottom you have the year, okay, and you're gonna have 5 years for the game, and you start out with number 1, and then numbers 2, 4, and 6. Those are the productive seasons. You have the spring, the summer, and then the fall. Okay, and those seasons, those are the main parts of the game turn. Now, I don't want to get too detailed into it, but during the productive seasons, you'll be rolling the dice and placing them to get influence. And each player is going to have one of these production building boards, as well as 3 dice and a bunch of chits to see which buildings you've placed. Now, what happens is that you use the sources that you get to build these certain buildings. Now, these buildings, they give you a bonus, and some just give you victory points, okay? And as you can see, let's see, yeah, you have to start from the left, and then you can upgrade it all the way to the right, okay? And as you upgrade, you get victory points, the more victory points you get. And I'm not going to get into detail of all the bonuses, but you can read them. For example, you'll get +1 in battle when you fight the boss at the end of the year. This one, the barracks, you pay 1 good per soldier to recruit in phase 7 rather than just 2. And there's a bunch of other bonuses, but they all help you out. And even if they don't, they give you victory points as well. Okay, so let me show you how a turn goes, a little demonstration, and I'm not going to get too detailed about it because there is a lot going on, but let me give you like the basic main mechanic. And the main mechanic is rolling the dice and placing them on the advisors that you want to use. And so what happens is that all the players, in this case the two-player game, all the players are going to roll their dice simultaneously. So black will roll, put them together, then red will roll. All right, oh wow, so nice roll. So anyways, so what happens is that after everybody rolls, they add up their total. So for instance, red has 14, or red has 18, and black has 14. So that means black will go first. Okay, and I already placed it there. So we place the colors in the appropriate order spot, and then that means that the black player gets to go first and they get to use their influence. So here's what happens. They have a 6, 6, and a 2, which totals 14. Now they have several options. They can, on their first placement, they can use all their dice right here to place it on one number. They can use any amount really. And for right here, the 14, you will trade in a victory point and you get 3 goods of your choice. Okay, so basically you're sacrificing victory points for goods. Or what you can do, you can take one of them and place it on the appropriate one for 6. And in this one, you get to trade one of your goods for the other 2 goods. Okay, Or heck, you can even take 2 dice, just 2 of them, and you can put it on the 8 where you just get 2 gold. Okay, so there are several options where you can do. So let's say that, all right, let's say that for the first placement, black puts it over here, which they'll be able to trade one of their goods. Okay, so once they do their first placement, then the next, we go back to the turn order, then the next person gets to place their dice. Now there are all 6s here. Now here's the problem. They will not be able to place it, I mean generally, they will not be able to place the same die in an occupied place. Now there are exceptions to this, but generally you cannot place it in the same spot. So they will not be able to use the 6. Okay, so they can go either 12 right here where they get 2 items and a 2 chip, and these 2 chips, they influence the value of your dice. It's basically a 2 dice. So if I had this, I can place it right here and get 14. Okay, all right. But you know what? That will not be productive because I'll end up having this dice that I won't be able to use. So the best bet for red would be to get the king. Okay, and the king and the queen are probably the best options that you can get, because the king gives you one of everything. That's gold, that's wood, that's stone, and that gives you a military point which you'll be using to fight the monster at the end of the year. Okay, so let's go ahead and have red go there. Okay, so now the order goes back, since all the people in the round, then the turn, the order goes back to blue, or to black. So black, they have 8 left. So, well, they can't put the 6 over there because they're occupied with there. So what they'll do is they'll put the 8 right here, and they'll just go ahead and get their 2 gold right there. All right. So yeah, this is a dice placement game. You gotta sort of think ahead and where to go. And you know, sometimes, like I said, you gotta be aware of what the other players have because they could block you. Okay, so and what happens is this dice placement thing, it's gonna happen in the second stage of the year, the 4th stage, and the 6th stage, and this represents spring, summer, and fall, and those are their productive seasons. And these other ones, well, they're not productive seasons, but they do something. For instance, the person with the least amount of buildings, they get an extra white dice, so they'll be able to use 4 dice for the next season, which is the spring. This one, the person who has the most houses or the most buildings gets a victory point. And right here, the person with the least house, they get the king's advisor. Okay, or the king's envoy, and the king's envoy, when you have this, you'll be able to use it to place your dice in another occupied territory. So for instance, if the red had the king's envoy, they'll be able to use that and go ahead in another occupied spot. Okay, so that's one of the advantages, one of the exceptions to the rule, is the king's envoy. All right. Okay, so now, so then 6 is in a productive season, and right here, number 7, this is I guess it's the step before battle, which is 8, okay, and that's like the last stage of the year. Now what you can do is that you can trade any 2 goods and you get a military power. Now what happens, during the production stage, there is a possibility where you can gain military points, okay, and you know, once you gain military points, it goes up the scale. So let's say that whatever, red got 3 military points, okay, and right before that, the next step is you're going to be fighting a monster, okay. So the monster, and they'll get harder as the years go by. So the first year is going to be easy, second, third, they get a little harder, okay, and that value right there that determines their hit points, okay. So we have the goblins, all right. And what you're going to do is that 1 dice is going to be rolled for all the players, okay? So you roll the dice, 3, and then you add any military that you get. So red has 3, so 3 plus 3 is 6. And if it's higher than the number on the monster, they beat it, and then they get good stuff, okay? In this case, they'll get 1 stone. And if they lose, you'll get -1 gold and -1 building. So and what I found out that it's very easy to beat the monsters, but if you do lose, it really hurts. So you got to keep track. You got to be aware that if you have enough military up there. Okay, so that was a very brief description of a turn in Kingsburg, and primarily you just got to know that the mechanics are dice placement. Now there are a lot of other stuffs that influence the game, like the type of building you get. They give you a bonus, or they break a rule, or something like that. The way other people go, you have that'll influence how you're gonna play the game. The little chits that sort of influence the value, that sort of add the value to your dice. There is a lot of stuff going on, and once you play a few games, you can see the depth and complexity of this game. And so it's more than just rolling dice and then placing it somewhere else. There's a lot to think about. And the good players, once you play a while, then you're going to start thinking several steps ahead. Should I go with the cathedral? Should I build this? Should I bulk up on military? How am I doing on military? So this game really is, it's easy to play, but there is a lot of depth to it.
All right. I actually do like the dice placement type games. I don't know how many are out there, but the two I played are Alien Frontiers, which I really like, and this one, Kingsburg. I guess you would call it sort of like an area control almost. You roll dice and you kind of you claim a part of the board. So I guess you can call it area placement as well. But yeah, dice placement I kind of like. When I first played this game, I really, really liked it. I mean, it was so easy. The board looks nice. And yeah, it kind of reminded me of a light Alien Frontiers. Now, it's not better than Alien Frontiers. Alien Frontiers is one of my favorite games. But it's pretty light, it's pretty easy. The one drawback is maybe it's a little too easy. You end up doing the same, you and the rest of your opponents, you pretty much trying to do the same thing. Sometimes you're building the same thing. I mean, you can go a different route when you're building the buildings. I can go the cathedral route, which was more points but less I guess benefits, or you can do like some other things. And you know, you're all of you trying to do the same thing. It gets kind of bland. It's not as much variety as Alien Frontiers, and you know, I really shouldn't compare this to Alien Frontiers, because Alien Frontier, the only thing that they have the same is it's their dice placement, but they're two totally different games. But it's kind of hard to separate them for me for whatever reason. But yeah, Kingsburg, it's a good game. It's a good beginning type game. The production value is great. The board looks beautiful, and yeah, I like the fluff. I mean, you're trying to influence the court to get goods and stuff, so you can go ahead and battle. Another thing I really don't like is that we're all, like when you're battling somebody, when you battle the person at the end of the year, you roll one dice for everybody. So you know, if you have the same value, I mean, most of you'll either all win. I mean, I wish you can like roll individually for each player. But I don't know, I guess that's kind of a flaw. But you know what? In general, I do like this game. Okay, it's really good, and I recommend it. And it's kind of heavy for like new people who don't play board games, so you may not want to have someone to dive right into this game immediately if they don't play board games. But if you're introducing new players to board games and they got a few games under their belt, then maybe you can move on to this. And that's what I plan on doing with some of my non-gamers. I mean, they like the easy games like Ticket to Ride, King of Tokyo, Dominion, stuff like that. So maybe this might be the next step for them. Okay. Well, so anyways, with that, Kingsburg, I will give it an 8 out of 10. So I recommend it. I mean, even just for the production value, it's great. But yeah, this game it's a good, solid game. All right. Okay, so that was another edition of Nick's Impromptu Reviews, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.